The chair lays out House Bill 1617 and recognizes Representative Swanson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hernandez and fellow members of the committee. Our Constitution was designed to safeguard the maximum amount of freedom for the citizens of this great nation, not just for those living at the time it was written, but for future generations of Americans. The founders understood they could not predict every challenge or threat that might arise in the years to come, which is why the rights they enshrined are deliberately broad and flexible, meant to be interpreted in light of future circumstances while remaining true to their original intent. Excuse me. Among those rights, the Second Amendment stands out for its clarity and brevity. It was crafted to ensure that we, the people, would always retain the ability to protect ourselves, our families, and our nation, whether from external enemies, domestic criminals, or, if necessary, from our own government. While the federal government has not always upheld this intent, the foundational principle remains unambiguous: shall not be infringed. The National Firearms Act of 1934, the NFA, was enacted during a period of intense public concern about organized crime. According to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, the law's primary purpose was to limit access to firearms commonly used in crimes of that era. The arms regulated by the NFA are short-barreled rifles and shotguns, silencers, firearms capable of firing multiple shots with a single pull of the trigger, explosive devices, and calibers over .50 caliber. Although the National Firearms Act did not ban these weapons outright, it imposed strict regulations, taxes, and registration requirements. These constraints were seen as tools to combat violent crime, especially in response to figures like Clyde Barrow of Bonnie and Clyde, who modified weapons to suit his criminal activities. While these measures may have seemed justified at the time, they established a precedent for federal overreach and infringements on the Second Amendment. Importantly, the NFA did not solve the underlying problem. Laws only constrain those willing to follow them. Clyde Barrow broke into and raided multiple military armories to acquire his weapons, actions obviously illegal under the then existing law. The NFA offered no protection against such behavior. In the early 20th century, law enforcement lacked many of the investigative tools available today. As a result, lawmakers often acted expediently, sometimes without fully considering the long-term constitutional implications. While the desire to combat crime is understandable and important, freedom should not be sacrificed for convenience. Attacks on firearms, ammunition, or related accessories amounts to attacks on constitutional right, setting a dangerous precedent for future restrictions. Also, infringing upon the right to manufacture these items is equally problematic. If the government controls the manufacturing process, it can, with the right political majority, effectively block citizens' access to arms. The ability to manufacture firearms is essentially the right to keep and bear them. Texas has long been a national leader in defending the Second Amendment, but it should be the leading state in protecting that right. The Texas Manufactured Firearms Act reinforces this tradition by ensuring that firearms, accessories, and ammunition manufactured and kept within the state's borders are exempt from federal regulation. This legislation does not seek to change federal law. That is Congress's role, but it does send a strong and principled message. Texas will not tolerate unconstitutional federal overreach. Under this bill, Texans may manufacture firearms, components, accessories, and ammunition entirely within the state using basic materials. These items must be clearly marked, made in Texas. Excluded items include explosives, firearms capable of multiple shots per trigger pull, so machine guns, firearms too large to be carried and used by a single person, and any firearm with a bore diameter greater than 1.5 inches if it uses smokeless powder. Again, these last ones are excluded items. This bill represents one step in the ongoing effort to preserve the rights enshrined in our Constitution. It may not resolve every issue, nor does it seek to, but it draws a clear line. Texans will stand firm in protecting their right to keep and bear arms. Let this be a signal to Washington and to all who would seek to infringe upon our rights. Texas stands for liberty, responsibility, and constitutional fidelity. And I would ask for my right to close. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Representative Swanson? All right. Thank you.